Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, we're going to talk about how to defeat the Act 6 Chapter 2 champion. On my first run, I did go with one link just to make the future runs a bit easier. So you'll notice that I do lose power on occasion because of Burden of Might. There are several stages, and the first stage is nothing special, but at the very start of the fight, he will start off with an unstoppable buff. So you do want to be cautious of that. And you also want to be cautious of attacking into him with the unstoppable because it will stun you and you will get wrecked. I used Dr. Doom, which worked well for me. He has easy access to the stagger, so he can deal with the buffs, as well as access to nullifies. And so most champions that have nullify potential and the ability to avoid unstoppable, like She-Hulk, will work well for this fight. And you can see I'm using the heavy attack to counter his heavies and special attacks, so I can apply as many staggers as possible to make sure that every time he triggers the unstoppable and heal, that I already have a stagger on him so I can remove it right away and not have to deal with it. It can be useful to save up your special 3 for situations where you're kind of in a jam, like if you get pushed into the corner and you need to create space, then you can use it to create more space and give you more time to deal with, say, the unstoppable buff if you didn't get a chance to nullify it. Now, the first 30%, he has no special adjustments, but once you hit 70, he goes to opening bout. And in this phase, he has unblockable light attacks. So you don't want to try to parry or block any of his light attacks. So this phase is not too difficult to play around because most of the time you don't have to worry about the light attacks. It's pretty easy to just create space and parry a medium attack, and then continue to apply those staggers as often as possible. Here's an example of why the timing of the unstoppable buff is very important. As soon as I hit him, I was stunned, and then I got wrecked. And then you have to sit and watch this annoying but very cool champion celebration after he knocks you out. So I recommend practicing as much as you can against the champion before you come so that you don't have to watch that as many times in this fight. Once you restart after dying, you are still in whatever phase you were in when you died. And again, as a general rule, you want to get as many heavy attacks in as possible. So if you can counter on the special attacks and heavy attacks that he throws, that is ideal. Otherwise, if you have too much space, you can just run in and create a combo. But you can see that I did get some good range on that heavy attack, and then I built up to a special 3, and I decided to use it because with Burden of Might, I would lose power if I didn't use it. So I just went ahead and threw it off. It's also good to save your third special attack in case you whiff a heavy when you're trying to counter. But also for the first 2 stages, you can get a heavy attack on the end of your combo when a shock is active because it will apply a stun and allow you to get that heavy attack in. However, once you enter the main event at 40%, he will instantly shrug off debuffs, so you can't use the shock for that. He will also have unblockable medium attacks, as you can see here. I evaded the first medium attack, but then he hit me with a second medium attack while I was blocking. So in this stage, you do not want to try to parry when he's charging at you from a distance, so you may want to try to focus on baiting out heavy attacks or just trying to time all his special attacks as optimally as possible. And if you want to get the heavy attacks off, you're gonna have to counter his special attacks and heavy attacks so that you can continue to apply staggers and avoid the regeneration and unstoppable buffs that he triggers. Getting through this phase can be a little bit tedious because you can't really parry his medium attacks, but if you get the hang of intercepting as well as baiting out heavy attacks or making sure to only block or parry light attacks, then you should be able to get through this phase without too much difficulty. And then once you get him down to 10% is when the excitement really begins. Unfortunately for me, I did continue having difficulty timing his unstoppables, so I got him to 10% and died right away. But now we are entering the final phase, Dark Match, with 3 indestructible charges that you have to dex a special attack to get rid of. And you want to practice this a lot before you come to this fight. So you have to build him up over a bar of power, and then you have to try to trigger dex off one of his special attacks. Now you can do this by attacking in when he leans back, or you can do it by blocking the majority of the hits and then evading last second with the last headbutt to try to get the dex. Now, you do want to practice this a lot and try it in different ways because it may be easier for you in different ways. Now, the other great thing since the Act 6 nerf is that you can take a lot more block hits without dying, because he used to have so much block penetration and attack power that you would get wrecked if you tried to block the full special attack. But now you can stand there and take a bunch of the hits from it until you get the dex on all three of them, which will result in you having 3 prowess charges and no more indestructible buffs. Then all you have to do is land a special attack, and if you've been saving up your power, you should have 3 bars of power, which should easily be enough to kill him without any issues, as long as you can stay alive and not die before you land that special attack. And then unfortunately, you do not get fireworks for yourself unless you are playing the champion, but you get to be proud of finally defeating that fight and getting those awesome rewards that come with completion of Act 6, Chapter 2. So in order to get those dexes in the final stage, there are a couple ways of doing it. Some people do bait out the special one and then try to attack in and evade last second. I struggled to make that one work, but it might be one that works for you. And you can see there, I probably would have got the dex, but I accidentally parried. In this one, this is up against the wall. You can more easily dex it, but I had to block a lot of them. Some people like to do the special 2. That one is not too difficult to do, and sometimes it's useful to just do one light attack to make sure you get within range, and then dash back at the last second. Now, what worked best for me, as you may have seen in the clip, was just to block the majority of it and then dex at the last second right before the head hits you on the end of that attack. Now, I did miss some of them, but I was most effective with this method, and with the latest nerf to Act 6, this fight, he doesn't have as much attack power and block penetration, so it is a lot easier to have blocking the whole attack without losing all your health. And then you can see, not too difficult to do it, but you know, you just have to practice what works best for you. Make sure to get that figured out before you go in to this fight, because you do not want to find yourself stuck there unable to dex. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know your thoughts, your strategies, and I'll see you in the next video.